Okay, so this one's quite confusing as I don't understand Irish. Okay. Is me flying burla? Is that Irish? Is that yours? This is good. I think the question is...
Say for Hobbit on one side.
There's a Hobbit on that?
No, it's not a Hobbit. It's a panda and a Hobbit.
Oh, it looks like... Oh, it is. It's a pearl hobbit. There it is. It looks like a dice rat. That's little dots. That was this. What's that?
I don't know.
A pig. It's a babe. This is cool. So basically, you're Irish, sis.
Yeah.
You're Irish. Cool. And the question is, you want to learn Irish? I do. After looking at this, I do. Teach you what is that? What is that? How do you say that?
Oh, it's Marlon. It says Marlon Lights.
Oh, cool.
It says Lights. I think that's what it says.
Oh, well, neat. I was like, I've already started to learn. That's awesome. Oh no. All right. So that's on my list. Things to do. Okay. There's like a cat there and it says Starbucks. I do love Starbucks. That's awesome. All right. Next. Can you play the drums or COD? Who asked this? Some guy probably, or was it a girl? I love COD, and I do play drums. It was actually one of the first instruments I learned. My dad's a drummer, so he was always inflicting it upon me as a youth, and I learned how to play it. And I started out doing it live on a real kit, and I had one in my room for the longest time. And then I transferred it over to this. I bought this little, it's called Dr. Beat, and there's a little drum pad, and for the first, 100 recordings I made at home, I played the drums, but like this. And I didn't quantize them or time them, I didn't know how to do that, so it was like the worst drumming ever, but just like, it was awesome, so I can sort of play drums, to answer your question. Now I've learned that there's such thing as MIDI, and you can organize it much better than I can do it live. So. Okay, this one, thanks Brett. There's a nice picture of me, like kind of anime. There's like a couple. There's like the Evolution drums, like a stick version, and then like that version, and like a good version. It says, when did you learn to play guitar? I was 11 when I first learned how to play guitar. Who asked this one? Hi. I learned when I was 11. Learned my first chords. It was D, E minor, and G. And you made a good song, a hefty song with those 3 chords. That's what kicked me off. So yeah, 11. It's been 20. I'm 22. So. Oh, is that 11 years? At some point, it's 11 years. It's been 11 years. And this guitar was actually the first guitar I ever got, and I was 13 when I got it, so this guitar is nearing its 10-year mark. And I've had other guitars too, but this is the best one, even though it's not the best guitar I have. It's like the one I'm most comfortable with. It's like a leg. It's like a third leg.
We were singing Rob Harrison now, you missed it.
Wait, you what?
Rob Harris. Do you know who he is? He's like this Australian guy with like a board.
He has 2 legs?
He has a song called Jake the Peg. And we're singing.
Oh, I wish I was in on that joke. Well, I feel like I am now, kind of.
If you got Spotify, like go home and just like,
okay,
oh,
I'll Google
Rob
it.
Harris, Jake the Peg.
Alright, Jake the Peg. I'm on it. Someone heard me know. Oh, this is another Irish one.
Oh, that's for sure.
This one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the question's here. Is your name really Lights? Yes, it is. It's I legally changed my first name to Lights. I think it's 3 years ago now that I first started taking steps. It's like a long process to change your name, but I did, and now everybody calls me that. The only people left to call me my old name is like my mom and dad, and it still kind of bothers me. I never liked that name anyways. What is it, Lights? Wicked. What?
Isn't it that bad?
Yeah.
You wish it was
Pre-Wicked, whatever. But yeah, it's my middle name now. So I have 4 names. How many do you have?
3.
Just kidding, I'm trying to one up here.
Yeah.
3? 3's an average. 5. Pretty good number, yeah. You have 5? That's good. You one up me there. That's good. What's your name? What's your full name?
Shannon Jane Elizabeth Costello.
That's good. No, lots of names is good. Also, a few names is good. Also, just one name is good.
Quite lonely.
It would be quite lonely, right? You wouldn't have a last name to go by. What would you pass on to your kids? Just your first name? Just nothing?
It'd be like Mr. X.
Yeah, it'd be like Cher. What is your name for your kids? Like Bruce. Do you enjoy returning home, or do you prefer to be on tour? Home is good sometimes, but you get the itch. Once you've been out on the road, it's like you have to keep going. And who has this one? Yeah, it's funny. Like when you're on tour, you just want to be at home and be in your own bed. And for the first couple nights, it's awesome when you finally get home. But then you're just like, okay, yeah, I gotta go back on the road. And usually, I'm that kind of person. Just if I'm sitting around doing nothing, I feel like I'm not myself. So being on the road, probably at this point, I prefer it. When I first started, however, touring, I loathed it, and I was so nervous all the time. And I mean, everybody starts out bad at what they do, and I was. And over time, you get better at it. And honestly, it wasn't till like 8 months ago that I really first started enjoying being on tour, and now I can't get enough of it. It kind of happens when you start to face problems being on the road, and have dilemmas, whether it's within your people or with your gear or frustrations, and so being on stage is the one time that you don't have to worry about any of that. And as you grow up, those problems become bigger, and being on stage is like the hour that you're invincible from it. And so that's what made me first enjoy touring, and now I really, really love it. Stoked. How do you keep yourself developing as a musician? That's a good question. Where's Pippa? How do you say that? How do you say that? Pippa?
Pippa.
Cool. That's a good question. I always like to be finding new music and inspired by new things. It doesn't matter what genre. I like to listen to anything, like from metal to like alternative to R&B to like dubstep. Like if you can find some inspiration in anything, you're gonna get inspired. And finding new ideas and trying to apply them yourself in the studio is one of the ways that I keep developing as like a producer. And as a songwriter and on the guitar and everything, whenever I can, I play a bit. Because there's that whole like idea of 10,000 hours. If you just spend enough time doing something, you're bound to get good at it. So without even having to try, as long as you keep yourself doing it, like don't let yourself get dry, then you'll always be getting better. And that's my goal. I hope to be getting better every day. Hopefully. That's the answer to your question. Good question. Do you prefer going around the world performing to loads of people you don't know, or doing gigs at home with people you know? To be honest, those times that I've sat down and played for my family, like, who asked that one?
That's amazing.
Oh, the wedding. It looks like mine. Playing for my family, like in a living room, like extended family or whatever, is so awkward. It's the most uncomfortable thing ever. So to answer your question, I way prefer playing for lots of people instead of just my family, because they're like, oh, yay. Yeah, it's a little weird. In the case of a zombie apocalypse, it's a good question, very merited. What would you do? And there's a zombie going glur, 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 glur. It's more like a Murloc sound than anything. But it doesn't look like a zombie, it looks kind of like a trash can. Who did this one? Jenna. What would I do in a zombie apocalypse? Well, I remember when I first made my MySpace, the first blog I ever put on Life's MySpace was what I would do in the event of a zombie uprising. Because I lived across from Mount Pleasant Cemetery, which is the biggest cemetery in Toronto. And there's like presidents and like people that survived the Titanic. If you can survive the Titanic, you're gonna make a strong zombie. So I was like, there is lots of danger here. And so I started thinking about what I would do. And I planned an escape route and like sort of where I would go. I thought the CN Tower would be a nice place. CN Tower is like a very tall tower in Toronto. If you can get up there, you probably could hole up with the food that they have until the zombies die off, and you could look out and just be like, they're dying down there. And then when they're dead, you can emerge. That was my thought, but otherwise, on a more simpler case, like if we're here and there's a zombie uprising, there's obviously the common knowledge of shooting them once in the head.
Sneak peek.
What?
Have you seen Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. Although I watched Zombieland, and they said the double take. Yeah. You got to do 2. So that's like twice as many bullets that you need, and that makes things complicated. So I don't know. To be honest, let's just try it out. That's a good question. I'll think about this one. Gotta reapproach my tactics.